Excellent. Cool. Well, welcome everyone. Really excited on behalf of the AI committee to have our first online member conversation. And that's what we want to have today, Kōrero. So not your traditional webinar. We really want to build up that connection between members, so we can share, we can build our connections, because I think we've all got something that we can share and that we can learn from each other. There's no expectation to be an expert here, and I don't know if there really are any real AI experts because it's just changing all the time. So people will have different knowledge in different areas, and that is fine. That's what we're here today to share. And we want to hear like what's working and also what's not, because that's really important. And I think that's where a lot of lessons can come from too. So we encourage you to use the chat and put your hands up. And I really hope that by the end of the session, you're going to leave with at least one practical idea to try and a clearer sense of where people are drawing boundaries on their AI use. So just to let you know what's happening, so I'm going to share first up with a couple of examples, and we will have a few polls during the session as well to keep it interactive. I'm going to queue up Paula when we're ready for those. Then Lynda, who's at PwC, will take us through her use cases, any boundaries, and then we'll have a bit of a discussion then. And then also Debbie as well, from the public library sector, will take us through her use cases too, and we'll have questions. And then we're going to open it up as well for general conversation. So let's start. So I am an, I don't know, AI enthusiast, I guess you could say, but also balance that with the need for it to be responsible, which is really important. So I'm not currently working in the library and information space at the moment. So I've been using it on, I guess, more in the personal space and also safely with the AI committee work that I'm doing. So a couple of ways that I'm using it is to create executive briefings. I love to subscribe to newsletters, and I get a lot on lots of different topics, particularly about AI. And there's also a few news sites that I like to monitor as well. So what I've done is I have used ChatGPT. Now, I do subscribe to the paid pro version, and that's because I love to play around with all the different features, but this is also something you can do with the free version. And you can do this as well with the other platforms as well, including Google Gemini. So what I have created is what's called a custom GPT. So basically I've fed into ChatGPT the 4 websites that I want to monitor, and I've asked it to create an exec briefing. So I will share the prompt with you after this as well, so you can have a go at this. But basically I've told it that, I want a concise, exec-ready daily briefing from selected trusted sources. And I want that to help understand, I want to quickly understand what needs attention and what to monitor. So I will post this after our session. So feel free to try this if you like. Now I'm going to be brave and try and run it online. So we'll see if this works. That was my nervous laughter. So let's see if I can share the screen and get the right one. I want to ChatGPT. Okay, here we go. So this is the AI governance briefing that I have done. So I'm going to hit run and let's see. if it runs. So you can see it's having a little think. So it's going through, it's reading the requirements that I've put through. So just for context, the sources I'm using is the Privacy Commissioner of New Zealand, Ada Lovelace for ethical AI, the AI Forum New Zealand, and also TechCrunch. So I want to really get an idea of some of those new features that are coming out. So perhaps I should have run this before, but while this is running, I can also tell you that I'm a fan of using the voice mode as well. So you can see this down here. So I've used this previously when I've been interviewing for roles. Okay, here you go. It's thought for 48 seconds and it's taken the updates from the 4 websites and it's saying immediate attention. Oh, yes, that's something that I'm interested in. And it's got the links there as well, so I can click through. So there you go. That's an example. So I'll post that link later, and I'll quickly show you the other one that I've been using is. So if you're interviewing for a role, you can ask it to kind of be your coach for your interview prep. You can also use it for difficult conversations. You can also upload the position description as well, and that will ground it in relevant information and context. So you can type this in first, and then what you can do is hit your voice mode, so you can actually practice live saying it out loud. So I think that's a couple of use cases that I have used and I find useful. So I will stop sharing. Back to my notes. That's it. So the boundaries, I guess, I'm always thinking about, is this information that I would put into a large language model? I have my job, I have a lot of information on LinkedIn as well. So I kind of think, what have I got out there already publicly, and what am I comfortable with putting in to that? And so that's personal as well. What you're comfortable with. So I have lost my run sheet, so I will open that again. And I think it's time for a poll, Paula. So we're going to ask you, where is AI most useful for you right now? This is just a quick snapshot. You can click more than one if you're interested in saving time, getting started, making jobs easier. What is useful for you?
You able to
Good
see
question.
the poll, Erin?
Sorry?
Can you see the poll?
Yes,
Cool.
I've just done the poll. Paul, great question. Using free versus paid version, you get more features with that. Obviously, if you're using it within your organization, you need to refer to your organizational AI policy, because that will determine if you can use it for work purposes or not. But have a look on the sites. It will tell you as well what is available. If you're new to using the different models, I suggest using the free version first and just getting to know that. And then when you feel a bit more comfortable, you can sign up for 1 month, play hard, experiment, and then cancel that sub and just use free one. So how are we looking for poll results?
Good. We're on 87%.
Oh, great.
Slowed right down. So I can end the poll, or would you like me to read out? Is that visible to you?
No, I can't see that, so you'll have to.
Okay. So
What's
where
the
is
top one,
AI
Paula?
most useful for us all right now? 45% have said saving time. 26% improving quality, 58% helping me get started, 66% giving me new, different ideas, 47% reducing effort, and 8 were the other category.
Great. Okay, well, that's really, really interesting. So thanks for sharing that. And Lynda, would you like to share how you are using it?
Sure. Sorry, I'm not in the islands or somewhere in some jungle anywhere. I'm just sitting in a booth in my workplace in Tamaki Makaurau in Auckland. So that sounds like lots of people are using AI already, so that's fabulous. So my name's Lynda. I'm a special librarian at PwC in Auckland, and I've been working here for about 10 years. Part of my role here is managing subscriptions to a range of news, financial, economic, and other information that PwC staff need for client work. So that's the library role. I train staff on how to use these information products. So today I just want to cover how PwC has adopted AI and also how I personally use AI in my role, and then some of the issues that information professionals like us need to navigate. So similar to what Erin's been talking about, there are definitely things we need to be aware of. So for some context, PwC is a global business providing accounting, auditing, and consulting services. And full disclosure, as consultants, PwC does play a role in helping clients with their adoption of AI. So PwC basically sells AI into clients as well. So from the beginning, which has only been a few years ago really, since Chat's was released, PwC has taken a very intentional approach to adopting AI, trying to get as many people using AI as possible within the business in as many ways as possible. So PwC offered training sessions on how to start using AI, and then had a very intentional program of sharing practical use cases across the different teams. People would record videos of what they'd done and share that on their intranet platforms and talk about how they use AI and sharing their wins. We were all learning at the same time, so it was quite a good way to all share. And the team I'm part of had a standing agenda item, AI adoption and sharing use cases, and we would record those into a spreadsheet, and we would, always try and share as many cases as we could. I think the different teams got morning teas if they had good adoption, so there was a lot of bribery to get us all using AI as much as possible. And so as AI became more embedded, there was more advanced training on how to build personas and how to build agents and custom GPTs, and also how to keep up with the different functionality as things became available and things changed with the new models. And that's ongoing, right? Things are changing all the time. There's new things being launched all the time. So now PwC has a small factory, an AI factory team that works with our IT team, and they support rolling out the new models and updates and provide support, and also work with the business with client-facing solutions, AI solutions. So we're really well supported here at PwC on AI use, and I'm aware that that's maybe not the case in other organisations. We have access to a number of subscription licenses to different tools. So how I use AI in the field of business research specifically, which is one of my roles, look, you probably are aware it's not that great. AI is still not great at business research. One example I keep going back to, a colleague asked me a year or so ago to locate journal articles that she'd found using Chat, PwC. But the articles didn't exist. The journals and the authors were complete hallucinations. They matched her criteria perfectly, but they weren't real. And also the thing I'm trying to use, would love to use Chat for, is to scrape NZX listed company websites to build an accurate list of non-executive directors. They're a target market for us, right? So I would like to get that list and refresh it each week, run the report, get announcements of retirements or appointments. I've asked Chat to do this job multiple times across our different products that we have available, different AI tools, different LLMs. But so far the results are always incomplete. They're usually outdated. They routinely include fake names. So you cannot trust it yet. I have to go through the list and check everything, and that's a very plausible name, but it is not a non-exec director. So this is my Turing test. When Chat can produce an accurate and thorough list of non-exec directors, I'll be convinced to use AI more in business research. I'd be happy, but it's not yet. Yeah. So part of my role here I do see is spreading the word about how using LLMs like chat, they're not infallible. They do make mistakes. They might be very compelling. So I've worked closely with our risk team internally to develop guidance on using large language models for research responsibly, how to recognize hallucinations. I've built a ChatGPT, a custom GBT that directs our users back to using our reliable library resources, the information products that we purchase, so they can check the AI results against the real reality. So while LLMs are not great at business research, they're really good at communication support. That's what I mostly use it for. I use it for crafting difficult emails or anything that requires a careful tone, or if I need to be persuasive, I'll use chat to help me with writing those emails. And I also use it for all sorts of coding. It can fix an Excel formula instantly. It's really good at finding errors in a long Factiva string. I use it for reformatting things quickly, or anytime I find myself doing something repetitive with formatting or anything, I'll ask chat to try and help. So yeah, that's how I use chat. I use it all the time, every day, many times a day. So I think the main thing that I've learned here at PwC is everyone is really open about what they use it for. Everyone's sharing use cases all the time. It's a very positive, it's a win if you get it to do something good. You want to share that. So if you can put time aside to play with the different services you might have access to, that really helps grow your skills and expertise to understand the different functionality that's available, and keep sharing your successes. So yeah, that's really the main message. Just keep talking about how you use it and try and get your team to do that too. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Erin.
Thanks, Lynda. We've had a question come through about, I guess, verification. So ensuring that content included in client reports, if it's going out externally, how do you verify that that content is correct, accurate?
Yeah, that's one of the key things that I've worked with the risk team on. And one of the mantra here is your work, your responsibility. Exactly, to avoid the Deloitte Australia and it turns out Canada scandal. No shade, Deloitte, great company. So look, it's really, and that's why I built the GBT agent, was to drive people back. It helps people with their business research, but it drives people back to the products that we purchase, Factiva, IBISWorld, these other research products that we can rely on and have information that we can rely on. So I try and drive people back to that, because people don't actually know how to check. They might go, oh, there's a link, but they don't know where they should go to check and find the real thing now, with some of the ones who've grown up with chat, with these big, large language models. So yeah, driving them back to the tools is always the thing I try and do, yeah.
Because it comes down to professional responsibility too, doesn't it? So, if something is going out with your name on it, then that goes back to your values, and it goes back to, the profession's values as well too. And I think we've seen that with different sectors, with lawyers. They have a duty of care. And so everything that you are putting out as your work, and that's, fine, disclaim that AI was used in it, but you need to be checking that. There's no way around that. And so by using those authorized tools, which ideally when an organization purchases a tool, they would have gone through, looking at these are the use cases and understand limitations and communicate that, which is really important. So
yeah. Emma, I see, has just asked about briefly what an agent is. So I think there's an explosion in agents, much like apps, right? When the explosion of apps, everyone was building apps. So an agent is building a specific list of instructions for your large language model, and it will save those, and it will have a context. Then you will open up that agent, and you can ask it, much like what Erin showed us, I guess similarly. I'm not 100% sure of the difference between a custom GPT, which you build, or an agent. I think an agent can run independently of the product.
Yeah, so an agent is, it can take action on your behalf. It doesn't just answer questions. And so that's when you string them together, then you get the agentic workflow. Yeah, and you're right, Siobhan, it's to do with that level of autonomy, or the lack of autonomy. So it is autonomous because it can do it. You're setting it up to run through a workflow to do a task, and then stringing them together is the agentic workflow. So that's important to understand. Oh, thanks, Lynda. Debbie, how are you using AI? Oh, Debbie, you're on mute. Rewind, start again.
Oh, I did such a fabulous speech. Sorry, I was logged in twice. So I was using the app and the browser at the same time. I was getting a bit confused. I probably needed AI to sort it out. But thank you to Rohini for sorting me out. So I'm Debbie Ewen, formerly Price Ewen, and I'm working for the Waitaki District Libraries Syndicate here in Oamaru. So we've got 5 other libraries, 6 altogether. In my role, we've just been restructured, so I'm now librarian, but I'm still heavily doing digital support. So, usually I see the trends coming in through new computers, with our customers coming in to get the support they need. And of course, with Windows 11 came Copilot as well. So in that regard, when I'm sitting one-on-one with people out in the library, I actually realised very quickly that using Copilot is a wonderful training tool, because it actually helps familiarise my customers with their computer. So, they quickly cottoned on that not only could they ask me a question, but they could actually ask Copilot as well. So it was really just about teaching them some, good prompts to use to find out more about the computer and how to do things. So that was pretty much my introduction. Then, of course, ChatGPT, in its beginning, it's when OpenAI actually released it to the public. I hopped on and used the free version, and still do up until recently, but I'm exploring alternative AI platforms right now for some maybe obvious reasons to some. Along with that digital support, I also teach. I do digital classes, so I have been using AI to do just to get me started and to give me sort of a basic structure for teaching material. So that affects me directly, of course, and helps me directly in my job. The other thing I do, I guess I look after a lot of the digital platforms here at the library. So I do work very closely with Koha and their IT management crowd catalyst. So I'm quite familiar with Koha. It's an open source library management system, unlike Kortui, I believe. So that gives me some freedom to start tailoring and tweaking some of their reports, or just creating new reports full stop, without worrying too much about copyright, because it's open source. I mean, you still have to acknowledge, obviously, people who have come before you with some of those programs or programming. So I've been just playing with some of the SQL in those reports, and I created one recently I've actually written down called non-circulating items in X years by branch type. That report simply didn't exist, but there was sort of like a half-baked report I found that kind of catered for some of that, but not all of it. So I took the coding from Koha, and then I fed it into ChatGPT and asked it to look at the coding, look for any errors, and how it could be made whole to do the things that I wanted it to do. So with some good prompts, I got there in the end, and I got my report sorted. And from a public libraries point of view, I'm also using it, Copilot for cataloguing. I've been doing that for about a year now, but I guess one of the boundaries around that is just to be aware that, we each have sort of bespoke reference collections or non-fiction collections, which is what I look after. And so when I, look for Dewey numbers that I just can't get through copy cataloging, I will use Copilot. You do have to ask it. I don't know if this has changed, but I'm in the habit now of actually asking it specifically, what is the Dewey number for, then the subject. Because if you don't, well, I noticed that if you didn't ask what is the Dewey number for with that what, it goes off and searches for a list of Dewey numbers, for example. That might have changed, but I've just got myself into the habit of that. And then for marketing and promotion, particularly of books and events, we have been using ChatGPT image generator. And that's been pretty reliable. We've managed to get some really good posters out of that. Recently, we did a manga books cover competition. So you create your own cover. We told our participants they couldn't use AI, but we used AI for the poster, and it actually worked out fabulous. So, and then some fails as well. We use Canva quite a bit for our marketing, and I think they need to do a bit more work on their internal AI platform. We've had some pretty funny fails, particularly last Christmas when we put in a prompt for elves for a postcard, and we ended up getting conjoined elves at the hips or hanging from the ceiling by 1 foot, or polydactyl Christmas elves with 20 fingers, that kind of thing. And I don't know if it's really improved much, because I was on recently and it couldn't even generate half of the things I wanted. So we must have some unusual prompts. And just last but not least, I am an artist and a writer, and I have some concerns around ChatGPT. I've also noticed that Australia recently, I don't know if I need to go and do my fact checking, but I believe that any AI platform can no longer use artists' original work, and that's by law. So they will get in big trouble. I don't know how they're actually going to police that, but I do have some issues around the unethical use of original content. But apart from that, I am, as Erin said, an enthusiastic user, an early adopter, I guess. And there we go.
Oh, thanks, Debbie. Yeah, how those big frontier models have been trained is one of the ethical questions, isn't it? Where did all that data come from? Raises questions of data provenance and data lineage. Any questions for Debbie? I don't know if I can see any hands up. Yes, it's up. Oh. No, thanks. That was really, really good, and it's great to hear the different use cases as well, and the different sectors too. But a lot of people using it to generate the new text and images too. I do like the Google Gemini for images, so I do find that's really good. There's a question, Debbie, does your council have an AI policy? Organisational policy?
Yes, I'm just answering that on chat too. We do. The library here we're a pretty enthusiastic crowd, so we were kind of using it fairly early in the early stages. So the council didn't have an AI policy at that stage. Then they found out, I think, that we were using it, so they thought they better do something. Yeah, so now we've got a really robust one.
Oh, great. And did they get, was there input from the different departments? I think that can help.
Well, yes and no. We did get an email asking us to register what we were using, but not really why, and that was pretty much the extent of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important to have that register so the organisation is aware of what tools people are using, but it does change very quickly. So you really need to have that culture and that feedback mechanism where people can keep updating it too. Cool. Shall we have a little poll now, Paula? And I can have a little chat while you push go on the poll. So this poll is about when do you choose not to use AI? Because I think although, myself, Debbie, and Lynda, we are AI enthusiasts, I think we still are aware that there are boundaries, right? There has to be, and you have to choose when to not use it. So if we can get some feedback on that, there we go. And again, choose as many as you need to. And I think for myself, it is putting in that personal information. And I think that's something, if you're using your organizational AI tool, just how much do you want to put in there personally about yourself? People ask medical health questions to the AI. Are you using that in your own personal subscription, or are you using that in your organizational policy too? So just have a think about that judgment when you use it. I think it's also important to acknowledge that over-reliance, cognitive offloading, that it really is a thing. And I do find that if I'm just, really intensely using it, perhaps I'm editing something, creating something, maybe a presentation, a report, I find I kind of get into this zone where I find it hard for my brain to think itself. And I think that's something that is really important that we teach people who are, younger, earlier in their career, so that delegation, when should we be using it? And I think that's something that everyone is working out as we go along. So yeah, interested to see what's the poll bringing back, Paula.
Okay, we're up to 78% of people, so 70 of the 88. It's just ticking over very slowly, the last wee bit. Okay, so sensitive or confidential information, 95%.
Yep.
When accuracy really matters, 52%. When human judgment is critical, 53%. Organizational policy or guidance, 49%. Ethical concerns, 58%. I'm not confident in the output, 48%. And I don't trust how my data is being used, 51%.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 76 of the 88 people in the room.
Yeah. No, that's really important. And that confidential information is really important. If you are using your organizational tool, then that should be on an enterprise agreement. So there are, it's, got more protection around the data use, and it shouldn't be improving the model for everyone. And if you're using it personally, then that's something that you can look in the settings for all of them, for Claude, for Gemini, for ChatGPT, is to go into your settings and you can choose if you want to improve that model for everyone or not. So just keep it within. So it will, I guess, use it for future conversations if you turn it off, but that's just for you. So yeah, that's something to consider. And again, using Māori data, Indigenous data, where, how is that being used, the data provenance for that as well is really, really important to consider. And we've seen recently just in the news about organizations using AI for recruitment, for screening, and then replies being sent back. I think there was an article just recently about Woolworths. So take a look at that. Using AI in recruitment is actually, it's considered high risk with the EU AI Act. So there's a lot of controls around how you need to use that and have more human in the loop than basically, I guess, having an ideal candidate and just looking for that, because that just impacts on bias and fairness and it does have real that creates issues. That's not fair. So take a look at that. Okay, so we're going to open it up now. I can start with a question, but if you have something that you want to add, then please do that. If you don't want to speak, then pop it in the chat. What are the privacy issues in using AI in recruitment? So one, that your ideal candidate is a stereotype as well. Also, you have to be careful how the confidential information is treated, retained, particularly candidates that aren't successful. So when do you delete that data? And again, just testing that as well, to do with your ideal candidate. How neutral are you on that? How fair are you being? So does anyone have a useful use case that you didn't expect that would work? Something that we haven't covered? Does anyone want to chat about that?
Erin, I'm
Yes.
here. I can see in the chat that somebody has mentioned using projects in ChatGPT. I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about that. Anna, would you mind talking a little bit about that?
Yep, absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so I use ChatGPT to create projects. So there's a project tab on the left-hand side, and it's sort of underneath all the areas. And when you select a project on a free, you can name your project. They've got some samples like investing, homework, writing, travel. But you can name it whatever you want. So for example, I've started one for the PLNZ forum that's coming up, and I'm a stickler for information. So as part of my project, I have put in there my travel as a resource. So when you are in your project and you've got it selected and you've got a question, you use the sources area. So you've got chat and sources, and you can actually upload documents. So I've uploaded my travel schedule, and I also asked it to find me a good map of the area and suggest some accommodation sources. And I just use it like a collective brain. And so I'm going to keep that information in my project. And then every time I've got anything to do with PLNZ, like you could also, when the schedule's been released, you could upload that resource into it and help yourself do a summary at the end of the event, which I plan to do. So I'm going to put my notes into it when I'm finished and just ask it to help me summarize my notes and just things like that. Is that?
That's great. I was trying to take a screenshot, so I'll just quickly share my screen. So
I think while you're doing that, one of the ways that another way of doing it is using it as a setting up a writing guide for my organisation. So our organisation has a writing guide and policy and writing tips. And so I've uploaded some of the writing resources into my project, which is called GDC Writing Guide. And it's just the preferred way. And I've also uploaded some documentation on just policy and procedures, so it has examples. Not obviously not confidential things. You can use things that are openly available on, like for example, our council publishes meeting agendas, and so those are publicly accessible. So I've just got those as resources for suggested topics. You can upload up to 5 free resources if you have a free account. If you have a paid account, you can upload a lot more.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I like projects too. I use it to create agendas and notes as well. So sanitized without the names in. So that's a great use. Thank you. Siobhan, you're happy to talk as well. And then Marlies has her hand up. So we'll go Siobhan then Marlies.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I thought maybe because you hadn't kind of touched on analyzing data, I think there's probably a lot of potential in AI around data analysis, in libraries in particular. I can see it probably really exploding in terms of thinking around our collections. But recently, we've been trying to get better space utilization data for our libraries. And so, first of all, I'll start by saying that I'm a bit of a unicorn at the university because I actually have a institutional membership to Copilot. So I actually am one of the few people. We have Copilot for everybody, but not everybody has business Copilot. I do. So that does make some of the statistical analysis easier right from the get-go. But I also have a paid version of ChatGPT. And because of the nature, so there's a few other things. What is the kind of data I'm putting into these two products? Well, it's de-identified. It's fairly safe in that regard. So I use both products interchangeably because they both have different strengths and weaknesses. And also, I think it's really important to state that with my ChatGPT setup, I also, for me to use it in this way for the university, I have to have it turned off for what I call feeding the LLM monster, which means that it doesn't become training data. So what I have been able to do is to take Wi-Fi statistics. So our ITS folks have been able to provide us with massive amounts of Wi-Fi data. So this is looking at how many people are connected to the Wi-Fi routers in our various libraries at 15-minute intervals. So for an entire year, it's a significant amount of data. It's already been deduped at their end because I know what you're thinking, but somebody could have up to, say, 5 devices if they've got like an iPad and the phone and the computer, etc. But because in order to get onto the university Wi-Fi, you need to have a login that's usually based around your username or password, they can be de-identified, which means at these 15-minute intervals, we know how many people are connected to our Wi-Fi, or how many machines, should I say, are connected to our Wi-Fi. It's an approximation. It's not perfectly people, but it's pretty really close and very rich data. So if I had to go through 15-minute intervals across 5 libraries for an entire year of Wi-Fi data, you can imagine the amount of data and the amount of data cleaning that would need to be done in order for, and the fancy and Excel would actually really struggle with the volume of that data. And I have a bit of experience in R, but not enough that I'd be confident to be able to do something there. The combination of Copilot and ChatGPT has really enabled me to be able to do, and using the projects option as well, to really be able to take that data to create to ask different questions of it, to create different visualizations. You have to build it carefully. This is why, you've got to have an expectation of what you think. Like I did some testing, sample testing of small amounts of data so I could get a sense of what I should be seeing in order to pick up when perhaps it would be wrong. A really good example of this is when I first ran it, it told me that we had like 14,000 people in the central library at around 1 a.m. in the morning. Obviously, AM and PM were a bit of an issue, but once you pick up that error and you can train it to read the time correctly, it corrects pretty quickly. And then you're able to, you're really able to do some really interesting things and to test assumptions, and it will give you some what it sees and what it thinks, and then it's really important. It's almost more like a conversation. It's not like, okay, that's the answer, that's the real answer. It's like, is that true? Do I really believe that? Can you explain to me how you got that a bit more? Maybe I'll check that out. That data point doesn't look quite right. I'm going to go back into the raw data. But overall, it is a much quicker process than anything I've done in the past to be able to very quickly get stories out of massive amount of data. So I think it's for me, it's a really powerful tool in that regard, and I thought I'll share that with everyone.
No,
So
that's great. I was hoping someone would pick up on that use case as well. I think that's its strength, right? It's a language model. And just being able to put in either structured data, unstructured as well. And like you say, that conversation, that's what's important. It's that iterative process. And you can say, you can say to it, you're wrong as well. Look again, or you can, go into your settings as well too, particularly on a personal one, not the organizational one, unless you have access to that. And, ask it to be critical or to choose a mode. So, make use of that too, because they are built to, tell you what you want to keep you engaged as
Absolutely.
well. So, which I think ChatGPT's changed something recently, and it keeps ending on a question to, keep that engagement going. And so I've gone in and said, just stop doing that.
And a word of warning, that's actually a good word of warning. And this is where you never outsource your critical thinking with these tools. And I think it is a tool. So, in that regard. We were doing some work on our high demand area, and I just out of curiosity said to ChatGPT, but it was an earlier version of ChatGPT, and I think it improves with every iteration.
It does,
yeah. They definitely conform to Moore's law in that regard, at least at the moment. I said to it, from this data, could you make a really good argument for X? And it came out with this really good argument for X. And then I said, okay, I'm using the exact same data. Could you also make a really good argument for Y, which is the opposite of X? And it also came out with a really good argument for Y. So, if I was just to feed in the data and tell it to spit out a report and not think critically in that process and interrogate it and also question it, you could get yourself into trouble. It just wants to please you. It's like a puppy that way. It needs training.
Yeah, no, that's a great use case. So thank you, Siobhan, for that. Marliese, you've got your hand up.
Kia ora. Yes, I'm just here in a room of people, and Shona wanted to talk about a use case she had done.
Thank you.
Hi, kia ora. I'm Shona Harvey. I work at Auckland Libraries. I'm their family history specialist. So I've started off using ChatGPT for things like polishing up the marketing material and stuff like that, and abstracts and whatnot. But we use Copilot. And I've been having fun playing with it, getting it to do research for me. So I put a research question in about some family history, a family history question that the client's given to us, and it goes away and it comes back with all these results and with sources and everything. And it's been quite good because I can check I check it off, obviously, to make sure that it's telling me the truth. And occasionally it suggests to me the resource that I hadn't thought of. It can't come back, obviously, with information from subscription websites because it can't get in, but it can read the indexes and it knows what the subscription websites, generally speaking, have inside it. One of the things I used for it recently was researching somebody who served in the First World War, and the customer had sent in a picture of the chap in uniform, and I was able to upload that to Copilot, and it came back and it was able to read the badges on the uniform that I couldn't make out. Wow. And when I'd done further research into the guy, Copilot was correct. So it's been quite good. And then when writing a report to the customer, I've also asked it to polish my research report up for me, and I've been quite impressed with the way it's taken some of the data and built charts and stuff on it. And it's like a conversation because it makes suggestions, and I go back and I say yes, okay, or no, let's do something else, and it seems to work really well. So we've got, of course, got our Copilot adapted to our organisation. So it comes back and asks things like, do you want to use Auckland Council style? And, yes, please, and all that sort of stuff. So, it's really, it's been fun. So I can see it's got some really good strengths. Thank you.
Yeah, great. No, and I think the best way is to use it and to test it out, right? Kind of, it's that scientist mode, or, kind of like librarian mode, really, isn't it? Information professional, like test it out. Ask it harder questions, make it see both sides. That's how it's, being used in law as well. So not just for research, but also to prepare for going to court, to look at contract reviews. I think that's something that could help a lot of people in the information space. If you are a manager and you're doing licensing agreements with these big companies, then, using it to get a plain language version and asking it, are there any, situations that, you need to look out for. Kind of getting it to work for you. Right. Shout out to all the law librarians. Yeah. So I might scare you by putting in this article on what is model collapse, but that kind of goes to the comment Daniel put about AIs confirming confirming a theory after reading their research document that confirmed the theory. That's actually called model collapse. So that's the concern with the AI slop, which we are all concerned about with misinformation. And that goes back to that AI literacy, right? How do we train people about how to use the tools, and wider about information literacy? We have got 5 minutes. Does anyone have something they would like to share quickly? Anything about boundaries? Any no-go zones that we haven't talked about? Anyone from the AI committee who wants to be brave? Māori data sovereignty, yes. Okay, big topic. We are looking at how we can have a future session on this as well, but I think this is definitely an issue that we need to consider. We are needing to learn more about it as well. And I know there was a speech at the LIANZA conference, and Erin's had a webinar recently too. So this is something that Māori data sovereignty is really important, and we need to learn more about. So if anyone is willing to speak on this, or how this is being considered in your organisation, do get in touch with myself or the AI committee as well, because our next session, coming up in a couple of months, is about values and ethics as well. How do we use AI in line with our values? Yes, language use as well. So we might run the poll now, Paula, our final one. If you've stayed with us, thank you for that. We do have our AI committee webpage on the LIANZA website. So that's got useful resources on there. We have our AI survey that closes tomorrow, so please fill that out. If you haven't, that's really going to help us as a committee. We've got lots of ideas, but we want to hear from members what you would like us to prioritise. and especially keeping in mind we're all volunteers as well. So we want to be purposeful about where we put our attention. So I hope this has been helpful and you've learnt something new, or it's refined how you're already using it. I'm going to share my prompts later on. So if you want to try newsletters, give that a go, and we will collect up. We're going to do a summary as well. And so, yeah, hopefully collect up those ideas. But great to see lots of people engaging, using it in different ways, and do reach out to people and keep learning. I think keep sharing. That's the best way. Great, a practical session. Yes, it's what we need, isn't it? Paula, would you like to close us out?
Do you want these read out for what people are wanting, or
let's do that quickly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 60% are wanting to try something new, 33 refine how I'm already using AI, 13% be more thoughtful about when I use it, 34 talk to others in my team about this. That's great. 32 still figuring it out, and 11% have said other.
I look forward to reading that. And I think everyone's still figuring it out. It changes so quickly. So if you've tried something, even 3 months ago, the model could have changed as well. So do try again. It gets better and better, but then little quirks come in too. So I think it's important to keep trying. So back to you, Paula, for the karakia.
Lovely. So I popped in the chat also a webinar that National Digital Forum are running, and LIANZA is promoting that. So that's further back in the chat, but it's also on our LIANZA website, talking about content authenticity and provenance in the age of AI on the 16th of April. All right, to close off, thank you, Erin, Lynda, and scrambling for Debbie. Thank you. That was an amazing session. I learnt masses, and the chat's obviously incredibly positive. So kia ora. Ono here te pō whiri marama. Tomo kia te ao whātu tangata. Tātai ki runga, tātai ki raro, tātai ahoro, humie, huie, tā ki e. Kia ora, everybody.
Can you stop recording now?
Well, good reminder.